Welcome Charter Board members and school leaders. The topic of this mini-course is following the Minnesota Open Meeting Law. Open meeting laws, also called sunshine laws, require most meetings of government agencies to be open to the public, along with their decisions and records. Open meeting law violations can erode public trust and call into question decisions made at board meetings. Would you like to review the Minnesota Open Meeting Law and learn ideas to help your board follow the law? Would you like resources shared by another charter school? This mini-course may help you. In this mini-course, you will review the law, learn ideas, get resources, test your knowledge, and receive a certificate of completion. When reviewing the law, ideas, and resources, think about whether your board understands and is meeting each requirement. Let's start by reviewing the law. Fundamentally, Minnesota Statutes Section 124E.03, Subdivision 5A, requires charter boards to comply with Minnesota Statutes Chapter 13D, also known as the Minnesota Open Meeting Law. Intentionally violating the Minnesota Open Meeting Law can result in a civil penalty up to $300 for a single occurrence and removal from the board for 3 or more violations. Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.01, Subdivisions 1B and C generally state that charter board and committee meetings must be open to the public when permitted or required to transact public business. Therefore, the public must be informed of the time and location of board and committee meetings. Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.04, Subdivision 1, states that a schedule of regular meetings of the Charter Board must be kept on file at its primary offices. If a board decides to hold a regular meeting at a different time or place, it must give the same notice as required for a special meeting. For a special meeting, Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.04, Subdivision 2, requires the board to post written notice of its date, time, place, and purpose at least 3 days in advance. The notice shall also be mailed or otherwise delivered at least 3 days in advance to each person who has filed a written request for notice. For an emergency meeting, Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.04, Subdivision 3, states the board must make good faith efforts to provide notice of the meeting and it's subject to news media. This notice must be given by telephone or by any other method used to notify the board members. An emergency meeting is a special meeting called because of circumstances that, in the judgment of the public body, require immediate consideration. To summarize, what are the ways that the board must provide notification of the time and place of board meetings? The board must keep a schedule of regular meetings at its primary office, and, if there is a change in the date, time, or location, written notice must be posted at least 3 days in advance. If the board must hold a special meeting, the notice must be posted at least 3 days in advance and include the date, time, place, and purpose of the meeting. If the board must hold an emergency meeting, the board must make good faith efforts to notify the news media. In addition to notifying the public of meetings, there are many statutes that require the board to make documentation of the meetings available to the public. Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.01, Subdivision 4, states that the votes of board members on an action taken in a meeting must be recorded in a journal or minutes. In addition, the vote of each member must be recorded on each appropriation of money, except for judgments, claims, and amounts fixed by statute. Minnesota Statutes Section 13D.01, Subdivision 5, states that the journal or any minutes used to record votes must be open to the public during all normal business hours where records are kept. Section 13D.01, Subdivision 6, states that at least one copy of any printed materials relating to meeting agenda items be available for public inspection while the board considers their subject matter. This excludes data classified as other than public by Chapter 13, and materials related to any properly closed board sessions. According to Minnesota statutes, Section 124E.07, Subdivision 8B, the board meeting minutes must be maintained on the school's website for at least 365 days from the date of publication. The meeting minutes of committees having board delegated authority must likewise be maintained on the charter school's website. The directory information for the board of directors and for the members of committees having board delegated authority must be posted on the school's website. The contact information for the school's authorizer must also be posted on the school's website. To summarize, what documentation of board meetings is the board required to make available to the public? All materials related to the board meeting agenda items must generally be available for public inspection when the board is considering them. The board must keep a record of all votes in a journal or minutes, including the votes of each board member for votes on appropriations of money. The journal or any minutes used to record votes must be available to the public where records are kept at the main office during office hours. The board must post the board meeting minutes and the minutes of committees with board delegated authority on the school's website for at least 365 days from publication. Next, let's look at some ideas that charter boards have shared to help follow the Minnesota Open Meeting Law. Review the Minnesota Open Meeting Law and the school's bylaws at the beginning of each year. Post the time, location, and agendas of board and committee meetings on the school website and in the school. Schedule board and committee meetings to occur at a regular location and time each month. Make a copy of materials relating to meeting agenda items available in a binder in the meeting room, or, if online, through a link so observers can follow along. Because any discussion can become a board meeting if a majority of board members discuss board business, do not discuss board business outside of board meetings. For example, do not discuss board business with other board members at social gatherings or when using social media or email. Following are questions that you may want to ask to help your board follow the Minnesota Open Meeting Law. How is the public notified of the time, place, and agenda of board meetings and board committee meetings, and are notifications easy to locate? Does the board follow the different notification requirements for regular, special, and emergency meetings? Are all board members aware that they should not discuss board business with other board members outside of board or committee meetings? How does the board make a copy of materials related to agenda items, such as financials, available to the public during board meetings when under consideration by the board? Are the minutes of board meetings and minutes of committees with board delegated authority posted and easy to find on the school website? Is the directory information for the board of directors and members of committees having board delegated authority on the website and up to date? Is the identification and contact information for the school's authorizer on the school website? Now that you have reviewed the law, learned ideas from other charter boards, and considered questions, let's take a look at ways you can support the success of your board. By ensuring that the board provides the correct board meeting notification, you can help prevent distrust and support transparent, open decision-making. Ensuring that materials under consideration by the board and meeting minutes are available for public inspection will also support transparent, open decision-making. In conclusion, here are some potential next steps. Verify that it is easy to find information about the time and location of upcoming board meetings and board committee meetings on the school's website. Verify that the board provides correct written notice of the date, time, place, and purpose of special meetings at least 3 days in advance. Verify that the materials related to the agenda items are available for public inspection at board meetings when they are being considered. Verify that the votes on actions taken at a board meeting are properly recorded and minutes posted on the school's website. Compare and contrast your board's ideas and tools for following the Minnesota Open Meeting Law with those from other charter schools to gain and share ideas. Contribute your ideas, tools, and solutions to help other charter schools follow the Minnesota Open Meeting Law. Information in this video is not intended to address specific questions or issues a particular school may be facing. Charter schools should work with their authorizer, auditor, financial service provider, and advisors, lawyer, and staff to address any specific issues and to obtain additional resources. We hope this information is helpful to understand requirements and gain ideas for following the Open Meeting Law.